Alright, so let's talk about Raul Rosas Jr. for a second. And I mean, let's really talk about him because he's pretty much in a unique case in the UFC. This isn't your typical young prospect slowly rising up the rank story. This kid was signed at the age of just 17 years old, which is kind of crazy when you think about it. Most fighters are still figuring things out in the regional promotions at that age, maybe taking amateur fights. Meanwhile, Rosa was already under the UFC lights, getting media attention, and dealing with massive pressure. He made his debut at UFC 282 back in December 2022 against Jay Perrin, and he didn't just win, he dominated. First round submission, smooth back take, full control, and just like that, he became the youngest fighter to ever win a UFC fight. And that performance earned him a bonus performance of the night. Not bad for a teenager, am I right? But then came the hype, and that's where things started to shift. People already start talking about him like he was already the next champ, but of course, this is MMA, and reality doesn't care about hype. He ran into Christian Rodriguez at UFC 287, and that's when the momentum got checked hard. Now, here's the interesting part about Rodriguez. Rodriguez actually came in overweight for that fight. He missed weight by a pound, so Rosas got a chunk of his purse. But despite that edge, Rosa looked human, Rodriguez exposed some holes, Raul couldn't get his grappling going in the same way, and the fight turned into a grind that he just couldn't win, which ended up in a unanimous decision loss. And suddenly, all that early hype came crashing down. And after that, the entire narrative flipped. People started saying, oh, he's too young, or he's gotten rushed, or the UFC should have let him cook on the regional scene longer. The usual prospect skepticism. But to his credit, Rosa bounced back. He returned later that year, September 2023, and took on Terrence Mitchell at UFC Fight Night 227. And this was more like the Rosa we saw in his debut, aggressive, dominant, and confident. He finished Mitchell in under a minute, like straight up blitzed him, and guess what? Another performance of the night bonus. The kid was back on track. Now, this next stretch is where things get a little messy. Rosa was originally booked to fight Ricky Torcio in February 2024, but right before the fight, literally hours before the walkout, he had to pull out due to an illness. The bout got delayed a week, then scrapped altogether. No clear reason why, but a few months later in June, they finally rebooked it at UFC on ESPN 57, and Rosa got the job done. Second round rear naked choke. Another finish, another bonus. That's 3 performance bonuses already, by the way. Then after that, he faced Ori Chilong in September 2024 at UFC 306. Now, this one wasn't a finish, but it was a solid decision win. Showed some maturity, controlled the fight, got the job done. And most recently in March 2025, Rosa fought Vince Morales at UFC on ESPN 64. Now that one also went to decision, and while it was a win, let's be honest, it wasn't the most exciting performance. He controlled Morales, but the lack of ground and pound and the urgency raised some eyebrows. It was one of those fights where, yeah, he won, but he didn't really move the needle that much, So where does this leave us now? Well, reports are suggesting that Raul Rosas Jr. is facing Rob Font, and if that's true, then we're about to learn a lot about where Raul really stands. This isn't just another test, this is a massive leap. Font isn't a guy you need to feed prospects. He's proven, battle-tested. The guy's a veteran who's fought the best of the best. If Raul gets this matchup next, it means the UFC either sees something special or they're ready to find out if the hype holds up under the pressure. We've seen both sides of Raul Rosas Jr., the finisher, the grappling prodigy, the kid with insane upside, and also the raw, sometimes flat prospect who still has a lot to figure out. He hasn't shown flashes of greatness, but we've also seen that he's still growing physically, technical, and mentally. And that's fair, he's only 20 years old. But this next step, whether it's someone like Rob Font or another top 15 guy, it's gonna tell us a lot because you can't stay in development fights forever. Eventually you have to face a real test. And the question is, can Raul Rosas Jr. hang with the veteran and truly evolve into a top contender? Or is he still a few years away from that level? Now, with all that being said, here's where the concerns start to creep in. Because on one hand, yeah, Raul Rosas Jr. is showing some growth. He's clearly getting better, racking up wins, and proving that the hype wasn't just for show. But let's be honest, he's still green. He's not a finished product yet. He's learning on the job in real time, under the brightest lights. And that's not always easy, especially when you're about to face a guy like Rob Font. And yeah, Let's talk about Font for a second because people love to downplay him. He's taken some rough losses, mostly against the top of the food chain, but what they're really missing is that Font is on a 2-fight win streak right now, and he's still that vet who's holding the gate, you know? He's like the boss fight before the final level. You want to make it into the rankings. You know, when you want a number next to your name, you have to get through Rob Font. And most of these young up-and-comers can't. That's what makes this fight make me nervous about Rosa. Because while Font has lost to guys like Aldo, like Sanhagen, Cheeto, and Figueiredo, they're all proven killers. He still beats fighters trying to take his spot. He sends them back to the drawing board. These aren't flukes. That's veteran stuff, you know? Ring IQ and just straight up toughness. Font knows how to handle the hype machines. You know, so when you look at guys like Raul Rosas Jr. in there with Rob Font, man, that's a big test. Rosa is still raw. Like, he's clearly talented, but he's still in that phase where he's trying to figure out how to blend his striking with his grappling without looking uncomfortable or rushed. You could see him thinking in there sometimes, and that's not a place where you want to be when you're fighting someone like Font. Because Font, he doesn't need to take you down. He's not looking for some highlight reel knockout. He's just going to jab your face off for 3 rounds, punish every sloppy entry, and make you question whether you even belong in there with him. He'll frustrate you, make you hesitate, and by the time you realize what's happening, you're already 2 rounds down and he's cruising to a decision. But with all that being said, let's really break this down. If Raul Rosas Jr. is going to beat Rob Font, it's going to be with the grappling. Period. There's no mystery about it. Raul Rosas Jr. isn't outboxing Font, and he shouldn't even try. Font has some of the cleanest hands in the division, you know, a really sharp jab, veteran timing, and the ability to punish you for every bad entry. So if Raul stands for too long, that fight is going to start getting away from him real fast. But here's the good news for Raul. There's a real path on the ground. And I don't mean that in some hypothetical way. If he gets a takedown, he should win. Because what I'm saying is that Font has showed us time after time again that his takedown defense is beatable. I mean, statistically, the guy's takedown defense is around 42%, which is low. Like, for someone who's been in the top 10 for as long as he has, that's definitely one of the weaker areas of his game. Now, Font isn't clueless on the ground. Let's make that clear. He's not getting submitted left and right, but he's also not super threatening off his back. He's not showing up, you know, with triangles. He's not hitting sweeps. He's mostly just trying to stall, post up, and work his way back on the feet. So if Raul Rosas Jr. can chain wrestle, get past the jab, and work him to the mat early, he can absolutely win minutes and rounds by just controlling and staying busy on top. That's where Raul shines, where he's able to get to your hips and keep pressuring. He's a problem. He's not a wrestler. He's got that slick back take, good grip fighting, and once he gets the body lock triangle locked, it's tough to get him off. It doesn't always lead to a finish, but it leads to control, and that's what wins you rounds, especially if you're keeping the other guy from doing other things. But here's the catch, and this is the part that makes this matchup risky. We've seen Raul Rosas Jr. gas, like really gas. Go back to the Christian Rodriguez fight. He came out like a bat out of hell in round 1, gets the bag, threatens the choke, and then suddenly, boom, empties tank. From round 2 on, he looked slow, flat-footed, didn't have the same pop in his takedowns, and Christian just started running away with it. Even in the Vincent Morales fight, a fight where Rosa won, he had his foot on the gas in round 1, but by round 2 and 3, you could tell he wasn't the same. The urgency was gone. He was controlling, yeah, but he wasn't doing anything dangerous. No ground and pound, no subs, just riding positions. That's not going to cut it against someone like Font, especially if the judges aren't impressed with the control alone. Rob Font's the type of guy that if you let him back up, he will jab you to death. He doesn't need a brawl. He's efficient. He's smart, and he doesn't waste energy. And if Raul starts fading after 5 or 6 minutes, Font's going to pick up on that immediately and start taking over. He'll pepper him with shots, stay upright, and turn the fight into a striking clinic. So here's what Raul has to do. Manage his gas tank, pick his takedown shots carefully, and stay heavy when he gets those positions. Don't rush to the finish. Don't blow all your energy trying to tap this guy out who's not going to tap. Just control, threaten, and wear on Font. Make him carry your weight. That's how you steal rounds, and that's how you beat a guy who's this good on his feet. But if he can't do that, if he tries to explode too early, get stuffed, or empty the tank in round 1, Font's going to piece him up. And at that point, there is no plan B, okay? So, yeah, the path is there. The question is, can Raul fight smart enough to walk it? And that's the other thing. Raul can't afford to slow down. Like, not even for a second. If his output dips, if the wrestling entry starts coming slower, or if he starts getting stuck at standing at range, Font is going to light him up. Because Rob Font isn't just a good boxer, he's one of the cleanest strikers in the division. He doesn't need to be flashy. He doesn't need to overextend. He just picks you apart. Jab, jab, right hand. Touch, touch, pull. He'll find your rhythm, break it, and then make you look like you don't belong in there. And when it comes to Raul's striking, dude, let's just keep it a buck, man. Let's just keep it real. It's still ugly. It's raw. It's terrible. And honestly, it's one of the weakest part of his games right now. Every time he throws, it looks like he's trying to force something that isn't there. He wings overhands, gets off balance, leave his chin in the air like he don't care, and when he misses, he's wide open for clean counters. You put that version of striking in front of Font, and man, it's a recipe for disaster. If Raul can't get the fight to the mat early, he's cooked. Font doesn't even have to throw heat. He just has to stay calm, stay consistent, and Rosa will start to wear it. The jab will land over and over again. The footwork will frustrate him, and that's when Raul starts getting desperate, shooting from too out far, burning energy, and letting the fight slip away. But even with all that, if you ask me who's going to win, like if you put a gun to my head and ask me who's winning this fight, I'm leaning towards Raul Rosas Jr. by unanimous decision. And trust me, I say that very lightly. I'm not saying it with my chest. I'm not screaming it from the mountaintops, but I think he could do it. I think he has the right style to beat someone like Font, at least on paper. The wrestling is there. The back takes are there, and if he could take his time in early and control the tempo, I can see him winning rounds, not dominating, just doing enough to edge things out. So yeah, my early prediction is Rosa by decision, but I'm not confident. I think he still has the tools to pull it off, but the moment he hesitates, the moment he starts slowing down, Font's gonna make him pay for every hole in that striking game. And even if Raul wins, man, I don't think he'll ever be a champion. And I'm not saying that to just hate. I'm saying it because the deeper you look at the division of the bantamweight division, the more obvious it becomes how many layers of skills it takes to get to the top. Rosa, he's still just a one-lane fighter. The grappling is good, even great, but the striking is way behind. The composure still needs work. The fight IQ isn't there yet. And more importantly, the margin for error is in his style is just too small. If he can't get to your hips, he's stuck. If he can't get the finish early, he fades. You can't be one-dimensional in this division that's this deep and expect to hold gold. Even if Raul wins, I don't think he'll be a champion. Not unless we've seen a major evolution in his game, not just more takedowns, but better setups, better striking, better pace management, and way more patience under fire. Until then, he's just another high prospect trying to punch up into a Shark Tank, okay? But those are just my opinions. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. And if you enjoyed the video, please leave a like. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And like always, guys, I'll see you guys on my next one.